All right, friends, we are going live. Hey, it's Peter. We are talking Zoom bombing. I've been working with lots of organizations who are working on bringing their work online, ramping up their digital efforts. And one of the things that's happening is people are scheduling Zoom meetings and they're getting Zoom bombed. That means people like trolls are crashing their meetings and doing horrible things. So I'm going to go through very quickly a dozen things you can do to help ramp up your Zoom meeting security, Zoom safer, and prevent Zoom bombing. Now, why is this important? Because, friends, if someone comes into your meeting and shares pornography, like exposes themselves, some things you can't unsee, okay? And especially as organizations, nonprofits, schools, congregations are doing things online, you want to protect your members. So I'm just going to go through 12 things. There are more things you can do than you'd want to do. So these are just a range of capabilities. You're going to have to decide which measures are right for you. Okay? So, number one, don't share unprotected Zoom meeting links on public websites. When you create a meeting, say you're going to have 30 people come together and socialize, or you're doing a class, maybe some of you are doing online yoga, namaste, whatever it is, you post those links online. What the trolls are doing is they are searching Google for Zoom URLs. So like they'll look for zoom dot da 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 da, and it'll pull up every Zoom link on earth. Then they'll just say, show me the ones that are new, like the last day or two. So all of a sudden, they've got fresh Zoom links to target. And then they'll post those to their forums where all the people who are looking to have fun, taunting people and do horrible things to unsuspecting people, they're going to be, your links are going to be posted to those groups. And then all those people are like, let's go crash some meetings and expose ourselves or upload our hard drives full of pornography. So you can't post unprotected Zoom links online right now because they're just scouring the web, sharing them, targeting you. All right. So what do we have to do? One, move them off of your website. Let people know your events are happening. You can post that online, but share the Zoom links via emails to your core audience. That's one way to slow it down, like protect people coming in. But there are other things we can do. Let's move on. 2, when someone Zoom bombs your meeting, they're going to try and do several things. Screen share and show, say, like pornography that's on their website. On their desktop or a website. They're going to try and screen share and show that to all your group members, your meeting participants. So in your meeting settings, you want to turn off the ability for participants to share their screen. So your host can still do that, but you don't want participants to do that. If you need other people to do screen sharing, well, you can secure the room and then enable that. I'll talk about how to secure the room. And you want to make sure that you invite hosts, have other hosts so that they can do it. But just don't let your average meeting participant be able to screen share. Because if you're not protecting your Zoom meetings and the people come in, they Zoom bomb you, you don't want to see what they have on their computer. Number 3, file sharing. Turn off in your meeting settings the ability to share files, because that means they can just take content from their website and share it through your Zoom meeting and distribute that to everyone in the room. And as I said before, some things you can't unsee. And then there's also malware. So turn off file sharing. Next, if you have somebody Zoom bomb you and you go to your participant list, click more next to their name, and then click to boot them, remove them from your meeting, you don't want them coming back in, right? No. So in your meeting settings, Zoom meeting settings, turn off allow removed participants back in. So if you accidentally remove someone, they're not going to be able to get in. So you got to be careful not to remove someone who you want in your meeting. Next, 5, there is a Zoom waiting room feature. Now, how would this work? You share your meeting URL. Say you're emailing people. Some email services like MailChimp, etc., will archive your meetings. Your emails online. So someone could still use the web and find your emails and like the archived online version of your email and get in. So what a waiting room would do is, suppose you knew that you're going to do a program for 15 people, a class or a group of people you know. If you enabled the waiting room, as they try and get into the meeting, they would get queued up in a waiting room where they're not in the meeting yet, and then you have to click to let them in. Now, we got to watch out. If we do too many of these security things, people are going to feel like it's too hard to participate in our meetings. So you're going to have to pick and choose. But if you're going to suppose you wanted to make sure that only a very small number of people, and you know who they are, come into the meeting, and you want to make it a little bit more secure that way, that would do it. I know a lot of people who just don't like the waiting rooms. There are other things we can do, but that is a feature. Next, 6. When you create a new meeting, Zoom by default sets a password. It's harder to get that to your people. Like if you're sending a link and then there's a password, you've got to get that to people. If you work with, say, you're doing a youth group or some club or ongoing effort, people gathering, you could set it up so that all of your Zoom meetings have a set password. Like you always use the same one, and you distribute that to people, and they know. And that would just add a level of security. So no matter which, all of the meetings that you're posting for your group, they could know that. Just enter our code word, the password, and then they can get in. Next, number 7, turn on authenticated users can join meeting. What does that mean? Well, you can create a meeting on Zoom and have it so if someone can just click the link and join the meeting, they can enter their name. They don't have to actually have an actual Zoom account to participate. They just have to have the program downloaded, the client on their computer. If you say authenticated users only can join, then they have to have created a Zoom account with their email. And so that just means Zoom's gone through this step of getting an email from the person, having them activate the account. So having to be an authenticated Zoom user means they're having to log in at some point with their email. So if you're someone who's looking to do horrible things in your meetings, maybe they don't want to be sharing their email. So if you require that, that might discourage them from doing so. But it's also a little more work for your members to make sure that they're logged in. Next, number 8, after the meeting starts, you have the ability to lock the meeting. So suppose you have meetings and you haven't put a lot of security in. If you have all of your meeting participants already in the room, in your meeting space, you can, through the participant options, like within the meeting, click on that, it'll pop up a box, and you can choose the option to lock meeting. What that'll do is no one else can come in, period. So imagine if you're having a 2-hour-long meeting and it's not a secured meeting, or you haven't done any of the other things we've talked about to secure that meeting. Well, if you keep it if you haven't locked the meeting, that's 2 hours where someone could drop by and crash your party and do nasty things. All right. But so suppose you've already scheduled a meeting. It's going to happen as soon as you stop watching this video. You could start your meeting. Everyone gets in the meeting and you're like, oh, everyone's here. I'm just going to click lock the meeting. You're secured. It's like locking the door to your house. Next, number 9, join before host feature. You might want to turn that off. I know a lot of organizations where they have someone who's set up with a license. They're sharing the Zoom account by the host is scheduling the meeting, and by clicking enable in the settings, clicking it so that you can join before host, they're letting people use that Zoom meeting space without the host present. Now, that's great if you want to use your Zoom meeting space and let others have gatherings in your Zoom meeting space without you as the licensed host present. But that means someone can join and make trouble in that meeting without you present. So you really want to make sure there's always someone in the meeting who has the hosting abilities. So that is a challenge if you are using Zoom in a way where you're really trying to expand the capacity, have people use Zoom without your host present. But this is something to consider. Like if you haven't secured your meeting in one of the ways or some of the ways I'm talking about in this video, if there isn't a host present, well, who's going to remove the person? Who's going to protect everybody? You really need to be mindful of that. Next, 10, require registration. Whether it's a Zoom meeting with everyone on video or a Zoom webinar, you can enable registration so that people, when you share a link to that meeting, you're not actually sharing the Zoom meeting link itself. You're sharing a registration link, and they have to enter their name and email to let you know they're coming, and then that will send them the meeting information. Now, someone who's looking to cause trouble might not want to share an email address, or maybe they have lots of email addresses and they don't care. But it's just one level of discouraging people who might be crashing or wanting to crash your meeting. Now, if you do enable registration, require registration, the next thing you can do is, after you've established that, and you have to create your meeting first, you can go into that meeting and edit your registration settings so that you have to manually approve people. So this is more trouble. I don't know if you want to do all this, but it's an option. So you have it so that people get registered. And suppose you only wanted to have, 15 people from this specific program in your meeting. You might say, suppose you're going to post it. Hey, we're having this gathering. You share that on your website, and you put in your email address. You're just publicizing this Zoom event. Well, people register, and you make it so that you're actually going to approve the people who join. That would mean you have some kind of gathering or a community where you know who the people are, and you can just go through and eyeball, all right, are these all the people in our club, in the congregation? Who is this person? You just use that level of security. It's like you're letting somebody into a club. Like, are they on the list? So that's just one more measure. And 12, last, when you create a Zoom meeting, Zoom prompts you to use an automatic meeting ID. So that creates a brand new meeting for that specific meeting versus the personal meeting ID that's associated with your Zoom account. For anything you're going to be sharing with anyone besides your friends, you don't want to use your personal ID, because basically that's like your personal meeting ID is your personal Zoom space. That's like your Zoom room. The Zoom room is a different feature, but it's like that's your private little space in Zoom. It's like so if you publish your personal meeting ID online, it's like giving everyone on earth your direct cell phone line. You don't want to do that. You always, for anything you're going to share outside of your most inner circle, use that automatic ID. So that is it. And I just want to say that Zoom allows us to do all kinds of amazing things, but we have to take precautions. And as I said before, you do have to choose which of the practices that we discussed in this video you use, because if you put too many of these in place, your participants are going to be like, oh, I can't even get into the meeting. It's so hard to participate. So just make sure that you aren't putting out your Zoom meetings publicly online and in a way that someone who's looking to be malicious can come into that meeting space and do horrible, nasty things. All right. After this video is published, like once it's done recording, I'm going to add some links to some of the resources that I've been checking out. There's some great articles going around, but I just wanted to get this on video because so many people are asking questions. I know sometimes it's helpful to talk it through. So to you, I wish you safer Zooming. And if you find this helpful, like the video, share the video, and I'll talk to you all soon.